Hello and good morning friends, welcome to the CEC-UGC live lecture. Dear friends, as you know that from time to time we conduct lectures for you on different subjects, and today also we are going to conduct a very good session on special education. As you know that in one of our sessions in previous lectures we talk about children with special needs. Today also we are going to talk on children with special needs. This is the second lecture in the series, and today we are going to talk about policies and acts for persons with disabilities. What are those policies and acts we are going to discuss in this very session, and for this we have again with us in our studios Dr. Neelima Asthana. Dr. Asthana is Assistant Professor in Department of Education, Lady Irwin College, University of Delhi. So dear friends, let's welcome our guest Dr. Neelima Asthana and try to understand more about the children with special needs. Hello ma'am, welcome to the EduSet lecture. Though we have discussed about children with special needs in our previous session, but today we are basically going to talk on the policies and acts which are framed for the persons with disability. I hope that the students who are into the special education, this session of ours today is going to be very beneficial for them. So over to you ma'am.
Thank you, Geetika. In continuation of my previous lecture that was on children with special needs, and today I am going to tell you something about the various policies, acts regarding persons with disabilities, and those acts are very much there in our country, and people and students should know about that when they are going to deal with those children and those individuals. So, today I would start with a very important act of India, that is Rehabilitation Council of India Act, and on the basis of that act an institution was established, and that is Rehabilitation Council of India, RCI. It was set up as a registered society in 1986, and on September 1992 the RCI Act was enacted by Parliament, and it became a statutory body on June 22nd, 1993. The Act was amended by Parliament in 2000 to make it more broad based, and if you go through the website you will find that this they have again open for discussion and suggestions to further improve this act, keeping in mind the latest development in this field. And the RCI, the headquarter is situated in Delhi, and it is working very well in the field of special education for the benefit of individuals with special needs. So, the mandate given to RCI is to regulate and monitor services given to persons with disability, to standardize syllabi, and to maintain a central rehabilitation register of all qualified professionals and personnel working in the field of rehabilitation and special education. Actually, previous to the establishment of this council, there was no clear-cut guidelines regarding who will be looking after the services and needs and facilities which are to be provided to children with special needs. So, there was a tremendous need to establish such an institution which gives a standardized kind of guidelines for establishing the institutions for the personnel who will be working in this field. So, the RCI is regulating and monitoring the services which are given to the persons with disability. And for example, if we have to open any institution related to cater the needs of special needs children, we need to have need to obtain the permission from RCI, as well as having the certificate from RCI that the institution is well equipped to serve the purpose and serve the needs of the individuals who are having some special needs. The second very important function of RCI is to standardize the syllabi. For example, in all over India prior to RCI, there were several different kinds of curriculum or syllabus or program, you can say, were running to provide services to these children. But to maintain the standard and to maintain the right kind of standard to give services to these children, it is important to have standardized syllabi. For example, if you wish to open a B.Ed special education program, you need to follow the syllabus which has been given by the RCI, because RCI keeps in mind all the developments which are taking in the field and the different disabilities which need to be taken care of, and after so many considerations they prepare the curriculum, and that very particular curriculum is has to be followed by different institutions all over India. And similarly, right now when there is a great change in the teacher education program, RCI has developed curriculum for different kind of courses, for example B.Ed, diplomas, etc. The second important work which is being done by RCI is keeping a register of all those personnel who are having who are certified by RCI, and that is known as Central Rehabilitation Register of all qualified professionals and personals. For example, if there is a teacher, speech therapist, hearing, the person who is giving some hearing aid. So, all those personnel who are working in this field are there, the names of those personnels are there in the register, and only those personnel can give services to children with special needs, and it is a very strict kind of instruction from RCI to obtain the certification number from this particular agency. Without the certification, one cannot work in this field. Because there are so many qualities one needs to have, for example, patience, sensitivity, knowledge, etc., and that can be certified by this institution only. The Act also prescribes punitive action against unqualified persons delivering services to persons with disability. For example, if I am not a special educator, I cannot teach a child who is having some special need. Though there are so many individuals in the society who claim that they can teach the child, they can treat the child, and there is no such word like treatment in this field, because the child who is having some special needs could be given only some special kind of environment to cope up with his or her disability. The objectives of Rehabilitation Council of India is to regulate the training policies and programs in the field of rehabilitation of persons with disabilities. So, each and every individual having specific disability needs a specific kind of training and teaching. For example, a child who is mentally retarded can be taught or trained by only those personnel who are trained in this particular field, because the need of a mentally retarded child is very much different from a child who is having visual impairment or hearing impairment. So, accordingly the personnel is being trained to tackle or to teach the children with specific disability. The second objective is to bring about standardization of training courses for professionals dealing with persons with disabilities. So, the training courses, how it could be standardized, there are so many different kinds of personnel involved in this field, and they only can sit together and finalize the courses to deal the persons with disability, because there are some specific requirement. For example, if a child is totally impaired visually, the child could be given or taught in some very special environment. For example, special technology is required to teach the child to give the child some specific kind of training, and for we partially visually impaired child, that teaching and training strategy will be totally different. So, it is very important to standardize each and every curriculum, and sometimes when there is the disability is too severe, the child should be taught or kept in some very specialized kind of environment and cannot be mainstreamed. The main purpose of special education these days is to mainstream the child. Mainstreaming means the child should be taught after some time with the children who are who are normal and should not be treated separately. So, the standardization of training courses is important, and the function is being done by RCI very successfully. The third objective is to prescribe minimum standards of education and training of various categories of professionals, personnel dealing with people with disabilities. We cannot say that a single person is eligible to handle all the cases of disability. It is not at all possible. For example, a special need child requires some assistants, teachers, then doctors, therapists, etc., and all these professionals are required specific training, and RCI confirms that minimum standard of education, of training and teaching should be maintained, and for that time to time RCI conducts survey, inspections, etc., of those institutions which are involved with these kind of teaching and training. The fourth objective is to regulate these standards in all training institutions uniformly throughout the country, and it is very important. We cannot say a child who is learning or who is being taught by some specialized teachers or trainers, or getting the facility of specialized doctor and assistants in Delhi. The same kind of facilities should be provided all over India, even in the villages. So, RCI, the very difficult and major task of RCI is to regulate the standards in all training institutions throughout the country. The next objective is to recognize institutions, organizations, universities running master's degree, bachelor's degree, PG diploma, certificate course in the field of rehabilitations of persons with disabilities, and usually RCI gives recognition for very short period of time, for example 1 year to 2 year to 3 year, not more than that, because this field is changing very fast. Each and every day, or you can say after 15 days or a month, there is a new technology, and that technology should be used to facilitate the individual who is having some special needs. For example, a child who is having cerebral palsy should be given facilities, latest facilities to give total mobility to the child. Likewise, the child who is visually impaired or totally blind must be given that kind of technology through which the child could be a successful professional in his or her life. So, recognition of institutions is very important, and it is done by RCI periodically over a period of 1 year, 2 year or 3 year. The next objective is to recognize degree, diploma, certificate awarded by foreign universities, institutions on reciprocal basis. So, the person, the individual who obtains degree from any foreign country needs to have recognition from RCI also. The last objective is to promote research in rehabilitation and special education, and as I told you earlier that it is a fast growing field and fast changing field, we have to give total and full advantage to those children, and it is not at all possible without having a very good data, very good research, because through research we come to know about the latest development in the field, latest challenges in the field, and through those outcomes we can formulate our program accordingly. So, the promotion of research is a very important area of this council. Other objectives are to maintain central rehabilitation register for registration of professionals and personnel, and through this register one can know which specialist or professional is available at which part of the country, and through that register one can obtain the services of the professional anywhere in the country. The next is to collect information on a regular basis on education and training in the field of rehabilitation of people with disabilities from institutions in India and abroad. To understand the latest changes which are coming, it is important. Then to encourage continuing education in the field of rehabilitation and special education by way of collaboration with organizations working in the field of disability. There are so many institutions working in the field in India as well as outside India, and there is an intense need to having an integrated approach to achieve the objective. Next is to recognize vocational rehabilitation centers as manpower development centers. To rehabilitate individuals, it is important to rehabilitate them vocationally, to make them independent. It is important to recognize the various vocational rehabilitation centers as manpower development centers or human resource development center. Then to register vocational instructors and other personnel working in the vocational rehabilitation center, and this data is so very much useful to organize any program, workshop to for these individuals. Then to recognize the national institutes and apex institutions on disability as manpower development centers. It gives recognition to various institutions which are working in the field of special education. In my college, we offer B.Ed special education, and that course is recognized by Rehabilitation Council of India. They come regularly to our college and inspect the college in terms of the facilities available in the college. To register personnel working in national institutes and apex institutes on disabilities under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. There are various institutions of national importance under Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and RCI register those personnel who are working in these institutions. So, that is all about the objectives of RCI and mission of RCI. And apart from those objectives, these objectives I read almost 10 to 12, and to achieve those objectives, it is a very we should say a very commendable task is being done by RCI to maintain the standards of special education and facilities to be provided to children with special needs. A standard has been maintained by the initiation of RCI. The situation is very much changed now. The situation which was 20 years back is totally changed, and due to RCI, because institutions are standardized, curriculums of different level are standardized, and people are more equipped to assist the individuals who are having some disability. The next, after RCI Act, the next act which is very important in the field is known as Persons with Disability Act or PWD Act 1995. This is the Act of Parliament, received the assent of the President on the 1st of January 1996. An act to give effect to the proclamation on the full participation and equality of the people with disabilities in the Asian and Pacific region. It has been divided into various chapters. So, chapter 1 discusses about the very basic things, like it has defined so many different terms, and it is known as preliminary. So, this act may be called as the Persons with Disabilities, Equal Opportunities, Protection of Right and Full Participation Act 1995. Now, you will see three terms. First is equal opportunity. It means the children or individuals who are having some disability should be participating equally in the society, and that is the duty of the society, of the nation, to give those individual equal opportunity. Actually, there are two words, equality and equity. When we just give some kind of facilities, it is not that we are making them equal. It is the potential, it is the development of the potential in those individuals to avail the facilities, so that they could be equally participating in the society. For example, if there is a facility of braille available in the college library, it should be made available to the child who is visually impaired, and the instructor should be there to teach the child how to read braille. So, that is the right meaning of equal opportunity. Then protection of right. When we give the child equal opportunity, in a way we just protect the right of the child and ensure the full participation of the child in each and every sphere of the life. For example, if we provide right technology, if we provide right material, if we provide right assistance, then only we can ensure the full participation of the child in day-to-day activity of the school or the college or the society or the office where the individual is working. And it is not a charity actually. We need to make them qualified, confident to participate in each and every sphere of importance of the society, in the society. And the act is extended to the whole of India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir. According to this act, disability means blindness, low vision, leprosy cured, hearing impairment, locomotor disability, mental retardation and mental illness. So, the act has explained 7 disabilities: blindness, low vision, leprosy cured, hearing impairment, locomotor disability, mental retardation and mental illness. Person with disability means a person suffering from not less than 40% of any disability as certified by a medical authority. So, 40% of any of these 7 kind of disability is known as the person will be known as person with disability, and it will be certified by the medical authority. Next is blindness. Blindness refers to a condition where a person suffers from any of the following conditions, and these conditions are certified only by a eye specialist, and that is total absence of sight, means total blindness, or visual acuity not exceeding 6160 or 201200 Snellen in the better eye with correcting lens, or limitation of the field of vision subtending an angle of 20 degree or worse. So, these 3 conditions are referred as blindness, where a person suffers from any of these conditions. But those person who can see a little bit are known as person with low vision, and it means a person with impairment of visual functioning even after treatment or standard refractive correction, but who uses or is potentially capable of using vision for the planning or execution of a task with appropriate assistive device. So, a person who is having low vision, who is planning the execution of any task with some appropriate assistive device also comes under person with disability and gets all the benefits which are being provided by the government. Then hearing impairment means loss of 60 decibels or more in the better ear in the conversational range of frequency. So, it is again given by specialized doctor. The certification is given by specialized doctor, he or she checks and then gives this, and that is on the basis of loss of 60 decibels or more in the better ear in the conversational range of frequencies. Then next is leprosy cured person. Who is a leprosy cured person? Any person who has been cured of leprosy but is suffering from first loss of sensation in hands or feet, as well as loss of sensation and parcels in the eye and eyelid, but with no manifest deformity, means deformity is not there, but sensation is not there in either in hand or feet, as well as loss of sensation and paresis in the eye and eyelid. The second is manifest deformity and paresis, but having sufficient mobility in their hands and feet to enable them to engage in normal economic activity. The third is extreme physical deformity as well as advanced age, which prevents them from undertaking any gainful occupation, and the expression leprosy cured shall be construed accordingly. So, in these cases leprosy has been cured, but certainly has left some kind of deformity in the functioning, day to day functioning. Then the other disability which has been prescribed by which has been explained by PWD Act is locomotor disability. Locomotor disability is means disability of the bones, joints, muscles, leading to substantial restriction of the movement of the limbs or any form of cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy means a group of non-progressive conditions of a person characterized by abnormal motor control posture resulting from brain insult or injuries occurring in the prenatal, perinatal or infant period of development. So, cerebral palsy usually develops during prenatal period or perinatal period or infant period, and you will come to know in detail later on when we discuss cerebral palsy specifically. So, it is a group of non-progressive conditions of a person, means those conditions which are there and characterized by abnormal motor control posture. There is no coordination between hand movement or leg movement, and it is usually results due to brain insult or injuries which occur during prenatal period at the time or fetal period, perinatal period, during birth or just after the birth, or infant period of development. Next is mental illness. Mental illness means any mental disorder other than mental retardation. Mental retardation according to Act is a condition of arrested or incomplete development of mind of a person which is especially characterized by subnormality of intelligence. So, it is a condition of arrested or incomplete development of mind and characterized by subnormality of intelligence, and there could be so many reasons. It could be heredity or could be environment. Now, a term which is frequently being used by in this field is rehabilitation, and rehabilitation is defined by PWD Act is a process aimed at enabling persons with disabilities to reach and maintain their optimal physical, sensory, intellectual, psychiatric or social functional levels. And rehabilitation is very important because due to this a person tries to achieve the maximum potential which is there in him or her, and try to maintain the life by having some kind of vocation. The chapter 2 deals with the coordination committee, because it is not possible to conduct or provide all the facilities to children with special needs without having a good right kind of initiative by the government. So, the coordination committee specifies the or clearly dictates the terms in and conditions of forming any committee. The central government shall by notification constitute a body to be known as Central Coordination Committee to exercise the powers conferred on and to perform the functions assigned to it under this act. And it is very well explained in this act that who all will be there as a member in the committee, which will be the subcommittee, and who will chair the committee. So, it is a total there is a very clear cut guideline given to form the coordination committee. Chapter 3 deals with the state coordination committee. So, like the central coordination committee, every state government shall by notification constitute a body to be known as state coordination committee to exercise the powers conferred to exercise the powers conferred on and to perform the function assigned to it under this act. And there is a very good coordination between central coordination committee and state coordination committee. Chapter 4 of PWD Act deals with the prevention and early detection of disabilities. Actually, PWD Act has given all the steps to deal with children with disability right till the how to make the individual vocationally independent. So, prevention is very much important while dealing with children with disability, and as soon as we prevention as well as detection, as soon as we can detect the disability, it is good for the individual to perform the task comfortably. Within the limits of their economic capacity and development, the appropriate governments and the local authorities with a view to prevent the occurrence of disability shall undertake or course to be undertaken surveys, investigations and research concerning the cause of occurrence of disability. For example, if a specific area of a state or of a village is continuously suffering from a specific kind of disability, for example, visual impairment. So, through surveys or through research only it is possible to identify the reason, and if we are able to identify the reason, it is easier to prevent the disability to occur. So, surveys, investigations and research are important to identify the cause of disability. Then second is to promote various methods of preventing disabilities. There the various methods, I can give you a few examples. For example, immunization. Immunization is a method to prevent the disability. We immunize the child against polio, against measles, against tuberculosis, and if we are able to prevent those diseases, we can prevent the disabilities also. So, there are various methods to prevent disabilities. It is not only immunization. For example, if we are taking good care of mother at the pregnancy stage, the fetus will be developed well and there will be no deformity in the fetus. It is said that mother should be regularly taken folic acid tablets. Folic acid tablets are must to prevent any disability to occur, and time to time if doctor doubts that there could be some disability, the doctor the doctor does ultrasound sonic investigations to find out the cause or can try to prevent the disability. The next is screen all the children at least once in a year for the purpose of identifying at-risk cases, and it is very important. It is usually suggested to the couple to go to the primary health center for the regular checkup of the child, infant, and it is done to identify any disability if there. So, screening of the child frequently is important and should be done at least once in a year. These days schools are also doing good job in this field. Due to regular health checkups, one can understand or come to know about the various defects or disabilities which could be which could develop, and that could be prevented easily by giving right kind of treatment or medicines. Then provide facilities for training to the staff at the primary health center. It is important for the nurse or the ayah or the attendant who is working in primary health center to properly check the child for any defect or disability. Next is a sponsor or cause to be sponsored awareness campaigns and is disseminated or cause to be disseminated information for general hygiene, health and sanitation. Again, this is the very important task, should be done with good care and sincerity, and through awareness we can prevent so many disabilities through the awareness campaign related to general hygiene, health and sanitation. For example, these days we come across the programs called Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and it is important to have that kind of sense in our mind to why and how to keep environment clean, and why it is important for to maintain good hygiene and health condition at home and in the surroundings. The next is take measures for prenatal, perinatal and postnatal care of mother and child, and that could be done in the primary health center very well. Educate the public through the preschools, schools, primary health centers, village level workers and Anganwadi workers regarding the disability. Create awareness amongst the masses through television, radio and other mass media on the causes of disabilities and the preventive measures to be adopted. And you would have seen such advertisements on TV which are which aware the public regarding these disabilities. Very common is polio or or blindness or hearing impairment. The chapter 5 of this PWD Act is related to the education, and it is a very important and strong area through which we can prevent and create awareness amongst the individuals. So, the appropriate governments and the local authorities shall ensure that every child with a disability has access to free education in an appropriate environment till he or she attains the age of 18 years. And it is important, usually what happens in villages or in those areas where people are not very much literate or aware, that they just do not send the child to school, and they feel that the child is of cannot sit or adjust in the school and will not grasp anything, though, so they keep the child at home. And it is important to make them aware that the facilities are available in schools and the child should be there in school. Actually, this is the point where we are failing, because at school level we just do not have that kind of strong coordination committee which could work in this area field, because it is not easy to convince the community, it is not easy to identify each and every child of the community. So, it is the duty of each and everyone to identify and bring the child to school, because after the enactment of Right to Education Act, each and every school is having one special educator, and as we know that each child is the human resource, basic human resource, and each and every child should participate to should be a positive kind of human resource. So, it is important to bring the child in school and maximize the potential of the child by giving right kind of environment, right kind of education to him or her. Then endeavor to promote the integration of students with disabilities in the normal school, and that is a very important and difficult task. How to promote integration? Integration is not actually the right word. Include the child in the classroom situation where all the normal children are there, and it is a very basic theory. If we educate the child right from the beginning together, it is very much easy to maintain that kind of inclusion in the society, because we can teach or train the child right from the beginning that all of you are equal and can do well together. Otherwise, what happens when the child comes in the school at the in the class 6th or 7th, the other children of the same class, just they do not try to associate with child with having some disability. Next is promote setting up of special schools in government and private sector for those in need of special education in such a manner that children with disabilities living in any part of the country have access to such schools. And Right to Education Act strongly advocates this. It says that every village has a school, and there should be a school after 3 km in the 3 kilometer radius of the habitation. Then endeavor to equip the special schools for children with disabilities with vocational training facilities, because it is not only to educate them, but to make them vocationally independent. Chapter 6 talks about employment. So, employment is important. Appropriate government shall identify posts in the establishments which can be reserved for the persons with disability. At periodical intervals not exceeding 3 years, review the list of posts identified and update the list taking into consideration the development in technology. Identification of posts is again very important, because it is by identifying the right kind of post, we can appoint the right kind of person who is having disability and who could work in that particular field successfully. So, every appropriate government shall appoint in every establishment such percentage of vacancies not less than 3% for persons or class of persons with disability, of which 1% each shall be reserved for persons suffering from blindness or low vision, bearing impairment, locomotor disability or cerebral palsy in the posts identified for each disability. And for ensuring employment, the appropriate government shall by notification formulate schemes, and such schemes may provide for the training and welfare of persons with disability, relaxation of upper age limit, regulating the employment, health and safety measures, and creation of a non-handicapping environment in places where persons with disabilities are employed, the manner in which the person by whom the cost of operating the scheme is to be defrayed, and constituting the authority responsible for the administration of the scheme. Chapter 7 deals with affirmative action, and under this preferential allotment of land is very important at concessional rates for housing, business, special recreation centers, special schools, research centers, and establishment of factories by entrepreneurs with disabilities. Chapter 8 talked about discrimination means we should include all the children in the same kind of environment. So, establishments in the transport sector is very important for that, and for that it has been prescribed that rail compartment, buses, vessels and aircraft should be made in such a way that it should have easy access, those should have easy access. Toilets in rail compartments, vessels and aircraft, waiting room etc. should be made available for persons with disability, should be easily accessible and convenient. And for smooth travel, installation of auditory signals at red lights in the public roads, causing curb cuts and slopes to be made in pavements for the easy access of wheelchair, and engraving on the surface of the zebra crossing for the blind or for persons with low vision, engraving on the edges of railway platforms for the blind or for persons with low vision, and it is our Delhi Metro is a live example of this kind of facilities, or throughout the each and every station and all the coaches are disabled friendly. You can see the sound, the path, everything. Devising appropriate symbols of disability, warning signals at appropriate places, whether visual or auditory, and smooth movement at public places, ramps in public buildings. Ramps in public buildings does not mean that there should be a ramp and which should go to the ground floor. All the floors should be accessible. Braille symbols and auditory signals in elevators or lift, ramps in hospitals, primary health center and other medical care and rehabilitation institutions. Chapter 9 deals with research and manpower development. As I discussed earlier, research is important to gather the data and to provide right kind of services, and in the areas could be prevention of disability, rehabilitation including community based rehabilitation, development of assistive devices, and our IITs and good engineering institutions are continuously working to develop right kind of assistive devices, job identification and on-site modifications in offices and factories. Chapter 10 deals with recognition of institutions for persons with disability, and state government shall appoint any authorities, and RCI is also equipped well to recognize the institution which could be served, which can serve better the persons with disability. And chapter 11 deals with the institution for persons with severe disabilities. The appropriate government may establish and maintain institutions for persons with severe disabilities at such places as it thinks fit. Severe disability means a person with 80% or more of one or more disability. Chapter 13 deals with social security. Social security means rehabilitation policies shall consult the non-governmental organizations working for the cause of persons with disability. Social security also includes facilities or tax benefits or benefits in the housing schemes or business, etc. The next act which was in continuation passed, because the PWD Act deals with only 6 to 7 disabilities, but again in 99 another act was passed known as the National Trust for the Welfare of Persons with Autism, Cerebral Palsy, Mental Retardation and Multiple Disability Act, and it was in 1999 of Parliament, received the assent of the President on 30th December 1999. And after this, the disabilities, total disabilities covered were blindness, low vision, leprosy cured, hearing impairment, locomotor disability, mental retardation, mental illness, autism, cerebral palsy and multiple disability. Multiple disability is really very important to understand, because if a person is having cerebral palsy, the person will not be able to hear properly or work properly, or may have some problem in understanding the things also. So, all these disabilities were included after the act passed in 99. In the 0 to 6 years, this may also cover all children indicating developmental delay, low birth weight, termed at risk, and medical problems that may lead to disabling conditions. Objectives of the trust are to enable the empower person with disability to live as independently and as fully as possible, to strengthen facilities to provide support, to extend support to registered organization to provide need-based services during period of crisis, to deal with problems of persons with disability who do not have family support, and that is very important because so many times family does not support the child who is having some kind of disability. To promote measures for the care and protection of person with disability in the event of death of their parents or guardians, to evolve a procedure for the appointment of guardians and trustees, to facilitate the realization of equal opportunities, protection of rights and full participation, to do any other act which is incidental to the aforesaid objects. National Curriculum Framework 2005 also talked about disability and children with special needs. So, as public spaces, schools must be marked by the value of equality, social justice and respect for diversity, as well as of the dignity and rights of children. An enabling learning environment is one where children feel secure, where there is absence of fear, and which is governed by relationships of equity and equality. The failure to provide this will result in the failure of the system, and hence needs to be treated as the utmost priority, and it is very much urgent. Child's right to education, one of the most cherished values held all over the world, though it is yet to be a reality in our country, and it is even after declaration of the Right to Education Act 2009, which ensures the rights of children with special needs, but even now, even today, it is not, we are not successful in implementing this act properly. So, that is all about the acts and policies, and I stop here, and you can visit the websites of Government of India to learn more about these policies and acts. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so very much for delivering such a nice lecture, as well as explaining us in detail the various policies and acts, especially for the persons with the disability. I hope that the people will incorporate these policies and acts in the lives of those who are struggling for a beautiful life ahead, as well as all the school, colleges, as well as the people who see the people around them who are disabled. Though we have a very less time left with us, ma'am, but still I would like to ask you, in connection with the policies and acts, does these acts and policies have provide the privilege to the students that they get studied or get education with the common students or common children also?
Yeah, they are strongly advocating for an inclusive society, and we are moving ahead to have an inclusive society, because after the declaration of Right to Education Act, it gives equal right to every child. Each and every child should be taught in the regular school, and if the child is having some difficulty, it should be addressed in that particular environment. Only when when the disability is so severe, the child and the child is not able to sit in the normal classroom, he or she has to get the education even then. So, for them special school should be there.
Definitely, schools are provided for the students so that they could make themselves all capable of doing everything. With this note, thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again. Dear friends, if you have any queries regarding this particular lecture, or if you want to give your feedback, you can mail us at info.cc@nic.in. We will be meeting again. Until then, goodbye. Take care. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so very much.